She's a tall and beautiful girl.
Okay.
Is it? Yes, that's it, madam.
Okay, thank you very much, Vanessa. I see other people are joining in. I'm trying to have this meeting recorded on the computer. Okay. Oloya, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, madam.
How are you?
I'm fine.
Which combination do you do? What's your full name? Which school do you go to? Just for purposes of understanding you and knowing you.
I do Hell stroke sub math.
Okay, that's good. Which school do you go to?
Bishop's Piano Kiangiri.
Oh. Okay, we are happy to have you.
Thank you.
All right, you found Vanessa going through what we covered last time. And right now I'm going to share the PowerPoint. We raced through it. I see people are on and off. Kiara joined and got out, then Shadia. So maybe as they stabilize their connection, we'll be getting to today's content. So I'm going to share my PowerPoint. And then we go through it.
Okay.
All right. This is where we started from last time. Okay. I'm aware you're seeing this PowerPoint. Please confirm. Can you see what? Can you see the PowerPoint?
Yes, madam.
Yes.
Okay. Do it slideshow. Good. So we started like this and moved on to the topic list. You can take your list. Maybe you can take a screenshot or you write it in your book. We are going to look at the title, like Vanessa has already explained. Last time when we met, we talked about the title, the types of titles. She has already told you we have a clear title, we have an ironic title, we have a descriptive title, and then we have a symbolic title. Then we also looked at analyzing subject matter. Sometimes we are faced with poems and maybe passages, then they ask you to analyze the subject matter. They ask, what is this poem about? You write your very best, but you still get a 2 maybe out of 8. Or sometimes the teacher looks through and maybe tells you this is really off topic. So we had a clear session on how to analyze subject matter. What should we put in that one paragraph? We wrote down the yardsticks, like you're going to see in the PowerPoint. And we agreed that moving forward, when we go back to our schools, we shall be the best subject matter analysts because we know what to look out for. We know what to write. We know how to impress our examiners. We know how to impress the audience in case you're making a verbal presentation of subject matter, you will be going for it spot on. We looked at how to analyze subject matter. We also looked at how to identify the speaker. What do we need to look at when we're identifying the speaker in literature paper 1? And briefly, we talked about the point of view. And then we agreed that today we are going to focus on style. Style. We're going to look at that. That is what we are looking at today, style and structure. Yes. Then we shall also prepare a lesson on how to present tone, mood, the author's intention, and attitude very well. We shall also have some bits of imagery today. Of course, imagery is under style, so we're going to talk about it briefly today. And when time allows, we shall also have a session on how to present lessons. Then I also plan to have a week where we shall look at comprehension, how to excel in comprehension. Yes, that very first section. So briefly, this is going to be our topic list this holiday. And I hope that we shall be consistent in our attendance for us to benefit. And then when we go back to our schools, we become best. So in the previous lesson, we had our objectives, the reason why we're holding that lesson. We wanted to learn how to identify and differentiate between the different types of titles in case we are faced with them, and then know their effectiveness. Why would someone choose an ironic title? Why would they choose a clear title? If they choose an ironic title, is it because they want to criticize something? Yes, most times it is for criticism. Some people use it for humor, but most times in poetry and prose, we use irony to criticize unbecoming behavior or vices in society. Then if it's a clear title, maybe the subject needs clarity. The author is trying to go straight to the point and is not mincing any of the words that he or she chooses to use, so that the title is equally clear. Yes, we looked at the effectiveness. Maybe descriptive titles give details or additional information, something like that. Then symbolic titles are for representation. A symbol represents something. So even when you have a title that is symbolic, if your title is the sun, and maybe that sun is symbolizing a new beginning, or maybe new life or fresh life or brightness or a bright future. So the title is there to represent something. We also looked at that. We learned how to analyze subject matter. We used at least 2 poems, which you're going to see. We looked at Lullaby by Akan, and then one of us suggested that we look at the Harlem Dancer, and we also looked at that poem. I'm saying this for you to take notes. Maybe after the lesson, you can look up some of these sessions and you follow through. Then confidently identifying the speaking voice. Like when someone presents to your poem, you should be quick to identify who is speaking. Yes, we did that. So we looked at the title. We've already talked about this briefly. I won't waste any more time on this. We have these titles. A direct or clear title, for example, Lullaby by Akan. It's a lullaby. When you read through the poem, indeed, it's a lullaby. It's not like this is irony or it is why. It is just direct, straight to the point. Lullaby, and you meet a lullaby. Ironic title, A Jolly Good Boss. Those of you that have read this poem, you know that it is exactly the opposite of what you expect from a jolly good boss. Very lazy, inconsiderate, immoral. Yes, and the title is A Jolly Good Boss, to criticize the unbecoming behavior of the boss presented in the poem. Symbolic title, To the Moon. Yeah, the moon in this poem symbolizes loneliness, isolation, unclear times. Then a descriptive title, for example, The House with a Clock in its Walls, something like that. Those are the different titles. You can take a screenshot or write them in case we are moving faster. The PowerPoint will be availed in our WhatsApp group, and the recording is also uploaded for us on the help platforms, especially YouTube. You can always check them out. So we also looked at identifying subject matter. We agreed that when they ask you to identify the subject matter, you're not just writing the story of the poem. That constitutes like 20% of the mark you're going to get. As you can see on this list, it even comes last. So we all know that you can tell us what this story is really about. But as a student of advanced literature, you must go ahead and identify the speaker, the character traits of the speaker, the main theme of the poem, the setting. If it is availed in the poem, it is a very good thing for you to put it. Then the tone and attitude of the speaker. Then finally, you will tailor it together as one whole piece, one beautiful piece, as you tell us the story of the poem. Don't you worry, we have an example of what we expect. Yes, someone wrote for us a sample answer. How do you identify subject matter? So those are the yardsticks. Make sure as you're writing your subject matter, someone can easily tell that this is the speaker. Here, the candidate has characterized the speaker. Then you know the theme. Then if there is a setting, you have put it. The tone of the speaker should help you to put your points across in a better way. Then here is the example. Let me see who is going to read it for me. Shadia, are you now stable? Is your internet okay?
Yes, teacher, it is.
All right, kindly read for us this paragraph for us to remember what we agreed concerning the analysis of subject matter. Okay.
The subject matter of the poem is a mother's restless love. It is about a loving and caring mother who emphatically vows to have and hold her child. She promises to raise her child regardless of the fact that she, the mother, is poor. She confidently shows possessiveness when she says someone else may have better resources and material wealth to raise the child in comfort, but since it is her child, she is passionately she will passionately care for him with the little she has.
Hey, thank you so much, Shadia. So sometimes when people are referring to babies, they will prefer the pronoun it, others prefer she, and I left it at that. So for purposes of people that were not here, I'm going to display the case study. This is the poem Lullaby. Someone would like to have you for a child, but you are mine. Someone would like to rear you on a costly mat, but you are mine. Someone would like to place you on a camel blanket, but you are mine. I have you to rear on a torn old mat. Someone would like to have you as her child, but you are mine. This is the poem we are analyzing about a loving, about a caring mother. When you're analyzing this subject matter, you cannot just say, this is a poem about someone who loves a child. No, you have realized that this is a mother, because who else can say you are mine? That is evidence that it is a mother speaking. Most likely, a mother is talking. And given the fact that the title is a lullaby, we all know what a lullaby is. A song that is sung to children to soothe them to sleep, or to make them happy, or to make them quiet in case they are crying or maybe fussing around. So we can all agree that this is a mother, but which kind of mother? A loving child. When she repeats some of the lines, then that's when we get to know that I'm getting a notification that my internet is unstable. Can you hear me well? Friends, can you hear me? Kindly unmute and say yes, we can hear you. Okay, that's good. So friends, we look at this. I said when you're analyzing subject matter, you will have to identify who is speaking. Here in this answer, the subject matter of this poem is a mother's relentless love. That is what this poem is generally about. Then we break it down. It is about a loving and caring mother. Here we are characterizing the mother. Your teacher will be able to put a tick here, to put another one here, and to put another one here after identifying the person speaking. Relentless love, that is the main theme. This poem is about a mother's love. That's the main theme. When you talk about a mother emphatically vowing, then you have identified her tone. She promises to raise her child regardless of the fact that she's poor. There you're now telling us the story of the poem. What does this poor mother do? She's vowing, you are mine. I have you to rear on this stone old mat. You are mine. Even if someone out there has it all, you are mine, and I'll keep with you. I will take care of you. I'll passionately be with you all the time, regardless of the poverty that we are facing. You are mine. Now imagine if you could do this to all the poems you meet, you will be getting, of course, a better presentation, and better presentations get you greater grades. And if you're making a presentation, I don't want us to make this all about the exams. Sometimes it may not be an exam. You may be someone to analyze someone's work, and I don't want you to sound like you didn't pass a literature lesson. Advanced literature is all about theme, character, setting, tone, mood, attitude, content, that is plot. So you need to have that at the back of your mind as you're analyzing the subject matter of just anything. Okay. So we also looked at identifying the speaking voice. Vanessa talked about this. You're supposed to start by identifying the point of view. Is it a first person speaker, third person speaker, or third person omniscient? We looked at the difference of this between these two, and then you can follow through with the recording. But then you're supposed to also identify the actual owner of the speaking voice. These two combined will give you an answer to the question that requires you to identify the speaker or the persona. Sorry, this is supposed to be persona, not person. We also had an example of how you can answer such a question. This is a first person speaker evidenced by the use of pronoun I. You must give evidence because your first tick will be put on the first person speaker, identifying the point of view. Then the evidence evidenced by the use of first person pronoun I, and then you go ahead to identify the actual person who is speaking. This is a caring and loving but poor mother. Sometimes you read a poem and maybe it's a teacher speaking, maybe a student, maybe a soldier, maybe a driver, for example, in building the nation. So you must be able to identify that this is the first person speaker, evidenced by the use of pronoun I. Today, I drove the permanent secretary to a business, an urgent business luncheon. So when we see pronoun I, we confirm that the point of view is first person. Then you say that is a hardworking driver. So you have to identify the point of view and also the person speaking. That marked the end of our lesson last time. And I hope the people that were not here, for example, Kiara and Oloya, you have managed to get on the same level with us because that is what we covered last time. And I hope it's helpful. In case you have questions, please raise them now before we start on today's lesson. Any questions? Kiara?
No, madam.
Okay, that's good. Oloya, do you have any question?
No, madam.
Okay, that's pretty good. So we are going to look at style today. But before I go to even the other slides, I know you have studied Senior 5, all the 3 terms, very good terms. You people are very lucky. You started your A-level, you finished this whole year without any break, any forced break. I felt so sorry for my previous A-level students who would study, then we had to go home. Of course, I'm talking about the pandemic effect. But now for you, we've had a full year, and I'm very confident that you've seen this word, style, isn't it? Hmm? Have you covered style?
Yes.
Vanessa has covered style at least. How about Oloya?
No, madam, we did not.
Okay, Oloya is seeing style for the first time, and we hope he will benefit. And when he goes back to his school, he will be actually a step ahead of others. How about Shadia? Shadia, have you seen style anywhere?
Yeah.
Shadia? Oh, Shadia has also covered style briefly. How about you, Yvonne? Yvonne, have you covered style in your school? At least the introduction of style? Last time Yvonne's microphone had a problem. I don't know if she's responding. Yes, yes. Oh dear, sorry. Her microphone has a problem, but kindly answer, have you covered style? Yeah, not yet. Okay, Yvonne has not covered style and she's meeting it for the first time. So we are going to see how to bridge this gap to help those that have introduced it to perfect it, those that have not heard about it to get to know about it and actually understand it. So I will start with Vanessa. Vanessa,
Yes.
tell us, what is style? What do you understand by style?
Style is a unique way the writer is trying to present or bring out his idea, maybe.
Okay, I like that. I like that. Thank you so much. And that's correct. Style is the unique way, that unique choice that an author or writer will choose. Mm? That choice that the writer will make, or the way they will choose in order to present their idea in the best way they know how to. That is what we call style. The different choices that different people make while writing. We shall see some of the examples. So that is it. That is the definition of style. And I want to be sure that by the end of this lesson, now I am telling you why we are holding this lesson. By the end of this lesson, all the students that have attended, now I want to personalize it. A learner will be able to analyze at least 5 stylistic devices if they are presented with a poem. In case I give you a poem at the end of this lesson, which I'm going to do, I hope that you will be able to identify the stylistic devices used and then analyze their effectiveness. I hope you will be able to hold a meaningful discussion on style. You can define it, you can identify it. Actually, you can employ some of the stylistic devices in your own writing. So let's stay put and go through this lesson. We are looking at style. So we have poetic style and prosaic style. There are some elements that are only in poetry and others are only in prose, in the second passage, if I want to refer to your exam that you will do. Now, when we are referring to the speaking voice in poetry, we normally borrow the word speaker or persona. So we'll have the first person, speaker or persona. It can change. It can be third person omniscient, but speaker, underline speaker. Then when it is prose, if it's a passage, then we'll use narrator. It is very uncommon for us to find a speaker in prose or to find a narrator in poetry. It can happen in rare occasions, but then the most common element when it comes to the speaking voice, it will be speaker for poetry, narrator for prose. Then when we look at the structure, poems are arranged in stanzas, like we know from pre-class, from P3 work, from our elementary school coverage, we know that poems are arranged in stanzas. Then when we look at the passages, they are arranged in paragraphs. I am telling you this to avoid the mismatch. You find a student analyzing a poem and then they're saying, in the second paragraph, the speaker says this. No, my dear, when you're analyzing a poem, you will stick to stanzas and lines. Then in prose, we stick to paragraph and sentence. That explains the second point, lineation. In poems, we have lines. This poem has short lines, and I think that is a choice that someone makes. This poem has long or lengthy lines. So as you're commenting, you call them lines, and then we have sentences in prose. Sometimes you will find that when the lines are joined, they form a sentence, but we prefer to call them lines, especially for your level, for advanced literature. studies, we call them lines, and then for passages, we call them sentences. Where we have imagery in poetry, we call it detailed or vivid description in prose. I wouldn't want us to have a mismatch. So I just put this before we start the lesson for you to know and to always make meaningful presentations. We can always come back to it if you need to be reminded. Now we have those stylistic devices that are found in both prose and poetry. For example, the title. If a passage has a title, then you will identify it. If there is irony, these can occur in both prose and poetry. So people who are meeting style for the first time, I'm going to first pause here and allow you to maybe take a screenshot or write some of these down, and then we can try to understand what they mean before we progress to the other slides. Yes, so I'm going to first pause here and allow you to take a screenshot or just write them down quickly. Oloya,
Yes, teacher.
kindly let me know when you're through with writing so that we do the analysis, okay?
Okay, teacher. I'm done.
Okay, that's good. So we are going to look at the title. We have already talked about the title. You will have to comment on the title. And like you're going to see in one of the slides you're going to meet, when you're analyzing style, you're supposed to present evidence at all times. If there is no evidence, there is no point. So if you say the speaker uses a short, captivating title, kindly go ahead and give us that title. Don't take it for granted that since the title is in the exam script or in the paper, I don't want to copy it and bring it to my answer booklet. No, the author, or there is use of a short, captivating title, for example, lullaby. Then you go ahead to tell us the effectiveness, which is, it introduces us to the subject matter, it creates suspension, or it causes suspense, and then it also gives us a clue or a hint on what the poem is about. So you have to give us the title, and the point is the title, the example is the actual title that you see on the poem, and then its effectiveness. We've already talked about irony, whereby we say the opposite of what we expect to see. It may be verbal irony, dramatic irony, or situational irony, where we expect something to happen, but then it is happening in the other way. For example, if you enter a home and you find children disciplining their father, beating their father, that is situational irony. I mean, we don't expect it to happen like that. Most times, or under normal circumstances, parents actually discipline their children. But if you enter a home and you find children beating their parent, or actually, disciplining, not even advising, but disciplining the hard way, that is ironic. And most times it would be for us to have that criticized, or maybe, maybe the father did something that is horrible, and then the author chooses to employ that style. We have symbolism, where we have one thing representing another. For example, the drum symbolizing culture or tradition. For example, in the poem Piano and Drums. So when you see that, you know that the writer has made that choice and you must identify it. Then you use it as an example. The effectiveness is for that symbol to represent something. I'm going to be quick while going through this because we need to go through the poem and actually look at these points, not just talking about them. Then we have alliteration. I'm going to ask Shadia to talk about alliteration. Shadia, what is alliteration? How does it work? If you don't know it, then just run to Chrome or Google, then surf and give us just a brief explanation. What is alliteration and how does it work in style?
According to Google, alliteration is the repetition of the same sound at the start of a series of words in succession, whose purpose is to provide an audible pulse that gives a piece of work of writing a lyrical and or emotive effect.
Does that mean? I don't want us to leave it at that, copy and paste. How have you understood it? Or is it strange to you?
No,
Kindly talk about it briefly.
alliteration. Okay, according what I knew before, what I know it's always like at the beginning of words. Like for example, if you're to look at kind and kid, the first K and I. Yeah, that's what I know.
Okay, thank you very much for that insight. Oloya, does that make sense to you?
Yes.
Please put it in your own words and give us another example, not Vanessa, not Shadia's example.
I think it is talking about rhyme and rhythm. Like,
Yes, Oloya, what is alliteration? The actual thing that that Shadia has just talked about. Can you put it in your own words? Is it clear?
I think it is talking about rhyme and rhythm. Like the, the flow of the words.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. So when we talk about alliteration, we are talking about words that begin the same way. Alliteration is actually the repetition of the initial consonant sound. It has to be a consonant sound. Yes, you know consonants. The letters in the alphabet that are not vowels. Yes, if the words begin with the same consonant sound. And Shadia, I want you to mark that with alliteration or the sound devices, we talk about their sound, not the letter itself, but the sound it produces. Yes, when the words begin with the same consonant sound. For example, minute maid, or big boys, the common song people were singing, I think 1 year ago. You want to bamba, you want to chill with the big boys. So the letters, the words are beginning with the same, the consonant sound, the b. It makes it lyrical, just like Shadia has said. It makes the presentation of the work musical. It makes it easily memorable. It makes the work enjoyable. all those are bits that you can pick on when you're analyzing the effectiveness of this given work. If you see alliteration, please, please talk about it. It's an element of style. People take a lot of time to find words that begin the same way to create that effect. So don't let it go unnoticed. We have contrast, where you see someone, you read maybe a poem. We have a hardworking driver against a lazy permanent secretary. We can have a considerate driver against an inconsiderate boss. Yes, that contrast is there for you to gauge, to weigh the options, and then you become a judge of character. Sometimes they can present an extravagant person against a very, very impoverished setting. And then that contrast is there for you to identify something. It doesn't just be there. It doesn't sit in the poem for the sake of filling the stanza. It is there for you to identify something. But then we have capitalization. If someone writes to you a cheat and it is written in capital letters, see me after class, you can see the depth of, of the urgency. I need to see you immediately after this class. Maybe if it's a girl, there is some hot gossip of late. I've seen that some boys also have some, juicy gossip. But maybe the message to be passed on is very urgent and it can't wait. That's why you find capitalization. And then appropriate punctuation, you find that see me is followed by maybe like 7 exclamation marks to even make it look more serious. Yes. So appropriate punctuation is also a choice that people make, and there is a purpose for it. It is not just for the sake of writing. Then we have diction, the choice of words. Someone, instead of saying see me, they add something, I will die if I don't see you after prep. Hey, die? This girl must be having something to tell me, or something must be really burning. So the choice of words, of appropriate words. Yes, we know that all people that present things that we call poems or passages, they use words. Yes, they really do use words. But for it to pass as diction, it has to be, for it to pass as an element of style, it has to be filled with appropriate words, words that carry meaning, that carry something extra. Instead of someone saying they beat me hard, someone can say they flogged me. The word flog doesn't carry the same connotation as beat. Beat sounds a bit, a bit not so hard. But if someone says they battered me, he battered his wife, he flogged his child, then the choice and usage of words needs attention. It is calling, and it has some deeper meaning. We have similes. We shall meet these in the poem we are going to look at. We have metaphors. We are still going to meet them. Similes, when the speaker likens something to another, she's like my mother. Whenever we are at school, she is like my mother. Yes, that is a simile. But then if someone says she is my mother, I have a friend in my class, we study together, but she is my mother. That is metaphorical. Of course, we know you cannot be in the same class, especially high school class, with your mother. But if someone is your mother, then the metaphorical statement means that she treats you the same way, the exact way your mother treats you. So you refer to her like that. Then we have hyperbole, where we have exaggerations, where someone blows it out of proportion. That boy, he's so handsome, I couldn't even bear to open my eyes to look at him. If someone can, even people who say, if you leave me, I will die. Sure, nothing like that, unless you want to be like these crazy people I've seen of late who commit suicide, which I discourage you from even thinking about. But most times people refer to dying, as a way of exaggerating the intense frustration they will feel. We are going to look at hyperbole in one of the poems we're going to look at today. I met a thief who stole my heart. Because someone is attractive, now you're calling him a thief. I think that is hyperbole. Then direct speech. Sometimes you'll be reading a poem and you find direct speech. The exact word spoken, quoted. This is very common in prose. When you see it, please know that it is an element of style and identify. Let me see how we move on. Okay, so I'm going to display this chart and I'll give you around 3 minutes to identify, to look at it and see if there is anything you can explain to us. If you want to take a screenshot, take it. If you want to draw this chart in your book, feel free. Okay, there we go. That is our style chart. Please look at it, analyze it, and then we shall have a session where we talk about it. I'll give it 3 minutes at most. Vanessa, are we through?
Not yet.
Okay. Someone is lost. Someone is looking for the math class. Andy, go back to the group and use the first link. The first link was supposed to take you to math, but this is literature. Okay. So friends, have we finished? Kiara, are you through? Oloya, how far? We
Yes.
need to understand how this chat works. Kiara is through. Vanessa, are you through?
Yes, madam.
Okay. So, Vanessa. Vanessa? Vanessa, are you there?
Yes, madam.
I want you to tell me which branch of this chart you would like to explain to us. Which one?
So I can't explain any.
Hey, Vanessa. Not even language, plain language, okay? Okay, Vanessa has declined. Do we have any person who can explain any of these branches. You say, teacher, let me take us through plain language, maybe some aspects of figurative language or the structure of the work given. Anyone? We are few in this class. It's an A-level class. You can just unmute and...
Madam, let me try out figurative language.
Yes, please. Very good. Thank
you. In figurative language, we have similes. For similes, we know that it's like relating something like something. Like if I say, she's like my mother, which means she's not my mother, but she behaves like my mother. Then for metaphors, it's about exaggerating, like exaggeration. Then for hyperbole, metaphors is about like using something to refer to something else. Like let me say, what can I say? Okay, like metaphors is all about using something else to reflect to something. Like you don't speak it out direct, but you're trying to. Let me say if I say the beast has arrived. By the word beast, I can mean like an angry husband or something else. Then for hyperbole is one that is all about exaggeration, like exaggerating a situation. Then for oxymoron, it's all about like using words that are opposite from each other. Like for this one, I can give an example of the word loving hate. Like the word loving, it's the opposite of hate, but you're using them at the same time. And then you form the word loving hate. Then for symbolism, something that represents something, that's symbolism. Then for irony, like for irony, I think we know it. Yeah, that's how I can.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you so much, Kiara. That's a good one. People, let's give her a big hand clap. And now, do we know how to use the reactions? Please send her some flowers. Thank you for making it very easy. And I can confirm that she has done a wonderful job. That is exactly what these words mean. So figurative language in literature as part of style, it refers to different situations where the words used don't exactly mean what they mean in the dictionary. Yes, like here as explained, if you're referring to an angry husband and you call him a beast, I got married to a beast. Are you saying you got married to an actual beast, the animal? No, you're just borrowing that word beast to show the intensity of his violent nature, of maybe of his ugliness, of his aggression. So sometimes we use that, and this is a very common thing because that's what literature is all about. I mean, making words mean much more than they actually do mean in the dictionary. So figurative language, if well understood, can take you far in literature. Even when you're writing, you'll be able to use such words properly. Even when people talk to you and they employ such things, you will not be off topic. Yes. For example, if they say, if beauty was a crime, you'd be innocent. And then someone is laughing. Then you get to know that these ones have missed something concerning the use of figurative. We need to always learn that words don't actually mean what they mean in the dictionary. Then I think she has explained all those very well. Well done, Kiara, for figurative language. All these are elements of style. Is there any other person that wants to say something on anything?
Excuse me, teacher.
Yes, Oloya?
Can I explain about imagery?
Yes. Thank you.
Imagery, okay, it is used to create a likeness of something. Then the types, when they have given us the types of imagery, there's visual imagery. Visual imagery appeals to the sense of sight. Like imagery is used to appeal to the 5 senses, human senses. Visual imagery is used to appeal to the sense of sight. It's like the poem The Beloved, when the person is describing the beauty of Lapobo. Then auditory imagery is used to explain, it is used to appeal to the sense of hearing, or what's used for sounds. Then when we talk about what the static imagery, this is an image that appeals to our sense of taste. For example, the poem Mondana, when they were talking about a worthless woman who has been used to uselessness, the woman has been compared to steel beer that has lost its taste. I think that is all I have.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Oloya, for that beautiful insight. Oloya has talked about visual imagery, which appeals to the sense of the eye. These are sensory imageries. Yes, these are the different types that appeal to the senses. Then we have auditory, which appeals to the ear. We shall get an example in the poem I Met a Thief that we are about to see. But this is when the writer through the speaker actually appeals to your ear. They mentioned something like a drum roll. Yes, when you read, is it Upon This Mountain? William Golding's book, you will see that when the children set the mountain on fire, it turns out to sound like a drum roll. Yes, it appeals to your ears. You can almost hear it. Then we have gustatory, we have olfactory, which appeals to our sense of smell. When Oloya talks about stale beer, it can fall under olfactory and then gustatory. You can taste, but also smell. Yes, and it is okay for you to cite the same example for the different points. Yes, it is okay. Motile appears to movement. You read and you can see the movements made. Then organic imagery. Has anyone made any research on organic imagery? Do you know what it means? Anyone? What is organic? Kiara, have you ran to the search engine for us to discover what organic imagery entails?
Let me check.
Kiara found it? Kiara?
Okay, here.
Yes, yes, yes. Carry on.
That's what I have.
Kiara, you were not clear. We couldn't get the sound. Kindly repeat that. Something is happening to your sound. Maybe you just write for us in the box, in the chat, in the meeting chat. Is there any person that is making research so that we share? Let me see. Any other person that has made research? Vanessa, what is organic imagery? Vanessa, what do you have for us? Kiara has written something which I want to read on her behalf since her microphone is not cooperating. She says organic imagery pertains to personal experiences of a character's body in terms of emotion and the sense of anger and pain. Thank you. That's correct. Is there any other person that wants to say something about organic imagery? It is some type of imagery that is not commonly acknowledged, but yes, it falls under here. Where an author puts words on paper and they write, then when we read, we can feel along with them. Most times they show elements of deep love, deep pain. You read something and it actually appeals to your heart. If someone is writing about grief child, someone who has read that novel, Grief Child, the child suffers so much that at some point you read one chapter and you almost cry. So, and you can actually almost feel it because imagery is all about the author being able to print an image at the back of the reader's mind. So organic imagery has a lot to do with you reasoning with the same feelings that the author is putting on paper. If it's a poem, the poet through the speaker presents feelings and you actually feel them. If it is pain, if it is frustration, if it is disappointment, if it is deep love, you read and then you're like, oh, yes, there. That is organic imagery. A lot to do with emotions. Then tactile is touch. She had soft hair that looked like that of a mountain sheep, the wool of a mountain sheep. You can almost, feel the touch that you would get, the exact feeling you would get when you touch wool. Mm? Yes. So tactile has a lot to do with touch. So that is figurative language. And trust me, friends, the list is not limited to this. We have many other things that fall under this category. I just put this for us to introduce style, but figurative language alone can be discussed for over a month. So there are many, many other things that we have not put here. Kindly take time, do more research, find out on personification, find the other things, metonymy, synecdoche. There are very, very many things you can read concerning figurative language. Just know how people can play about with language, words to mean what they don't mean on paper for some particular message to be put across. So figurative language, please read about it. Now, going back to our mother chart, we started with style. Friends, style has two elements, two broad elements. That is language and structure. Someone can play along with language and another one can play along with how the poem actually looks That is for the external structure, and actually how the poem is built up on its inside for the internal structure. We could also have another full session about structure. So style has those two broad umbrellas. We have language and style and structure. When we talk about language, for it is actually divided further into two elements of plain language. For example, the tense. Someone can write, and the tense they use is particularly meant to mean something. It could be the present tense throughout. It could be the past tense throughout for some particular message to be put across. Then we have things like pluralization, where some things are put in plural, others come in singular. It is for a purpose. You need to take that. This is under plain language, but someone can also pick something here and there, and then it passes as a stylistic device. Then we have appropriate diction. We've already explained that in the previous slide, where words are chosen carefully to pass on a message. Then punctuation, we also talked about it. Someone exclaims like 7 times. Yes. If someone uses parentheses, where we have brackets that give additional information, where the writer chooses to put question marks, where we have quotation marks, even commas, even full stops, if well used, can be an element of style. I want you to be very careful when it comes to plain language. Don't pick on obvious things. Don't say we have a full stop in the poem. What else would we have? But if the full stops are used severally within the same line, maybe that is stylistic. Yes. Someone can be writing about their heartbreak. Then they are remembering all the things they have shared with this person they used to love. And then someone talks about the love, full stop, the joy, full stop, the promises, full stop. There you see that full stops, have been chosen to pass on a message. Someone is putting like a list of the things they have lost. I have not just lost my love. I have lost the love, the joy, the promises, the hope, the pleasure. So someone is putting full stops at the end of each and every word. That is not typical of the English language. Much as it looks like plain language, it is a bit stylistic. And who says that in the English language, after every word you put a full stop? No. So I want to warn you before we leave plain language, don't comment on the obvious. Someone should not write a sentence in a passage and she says, if I meet my friend, we shall go to the cafe. Then you say the comma in that sentence is stylistic. I mean, that is the actual thing we expect. But sometimes you will find commas used in a stylistic way to pass on a special message, and then you will have a point or style. Yes. Then we have contrast. If you see it, this is plain language, but it can also bring out something special. Comparison of character, comparison of setting, comparison of status. Yes, you can get something out of contrast, much as it falls under plain language. Then we have direct speech. Like I said at the start of the lesson, direct speech is very, very common in prose. But yes, we have met it severally in poems. So when you see it, you know that it is chosen carefully. Why should other words be presented? And then this particular phrase is quoted exactly the same way the characters presented it. Even when you go to your paper 3, you will read the entire passage and you find that the author is explaining to you everything that has happened. At some point, he feels the need to quote for you exactly what the speakers talked about. Most times it is not just talking. That part has a message that is putting across. Maybe that is the climax of the work. Maybe it is showing how rude this person is. And then direct speech presents, just like the first person speaker, makes the work authentic. It makes you believe it. Actually, this happened. Can you imagine? I met the other boy. Do you know what he told me? that I look like his ex. Then people will keep looking at you until when you actually mimic his voice and tell them exactly the words that he used for the work to be authentic and believable. Yes. So that is it. Plain language also extends that the list doesn't stop here. There are very many things that look plain, but they're used to pass on a message. You can leave your box open, don't close it, because you will be enlarging it. I know you will be enlarging it. Even when you go to school or as you do your research in the holiday, you can keep adding on things, and feel free to write them so that when we meet, you can ask. If you meet some that are challenging, just write them down and put a star. When we meet Tuesday, we just start from there. Then we have structure. Structure means how the poem looks. Yes. So some elements of style fall under structure. For example, the title. When you look at a poem under normal circumstances, the poem starts with a title, then it is arranged in stanzas. Even if this poem is written in Arabic, even if it is written in German, you will find that the title is there and you know how it looks. It gives the poem its original shape. Title, stanzas, short lines. If it's a novel, we expect to have the title and then bigger passages. Yes, that are arranged in chapters. That is the structure. Yes, some people play around with a structure for them to pass on a particular message. But yes, we start by appreciating that this is the structure. This is how it looks. Short and long lines. Yes, you meet them in a poem, in a passage. If there are sentences in a passage, then you know that they're for a particular purpose. We have stanzas or paragraphs if you want to talk about prose. Yes, you will read a very big novel and then as it ends, you find one paragraph that has like 2 words, very brief. And most times those words can be stinging. Yes, they are chosen for a purpose. Don't forget that at the beginning of this lesson, we said style refers to the different choices that different authors make to pass on particular messages. So we have block stanzas where you find a poem has just one stanza. One, not divided. What is the purpose? Is it a message of unity? Is it because of urgency that the writer actually has no time to separate words on paper? Mm? Are they telling us something concerning cohesion? Why are the words on paper put together into one stanza to make one stanza, which we call a block poem? It's a block poem, not block stanza. Sorry about that. Block poem. Why? There is you had a choice when you're writing your poem. You could have made them 3 stanzas. You could have enlarged your poem, but you chose to make it one stanza. For example, our poem last time, was it Vanessa who suggested it, the Harlem Dancer? One stanza. And I loved it. I actually copied it into this PowerPoint for us to analyze its style today. So we have a couplet, and the list goes on and on, like you see that we have ellipses there. The list goes on and on and on to talk about the actual physical structure of a poem. Then very many points can come from sound structure. If you see a pun, if you see end rhymes, if you see internal rhymes, if you see alliteration again, if you see refrain, repetition, onomatopoeia, I mean, all these are choices that are made to pass on a message, and we call that style. So I prepared this chart for you to know that style comes in different sessions. Do you know why? Most times, candidates thought that style was just style, a broad thing, and they would just meet poems, analyze them. But if you have been keen to see last year's script, it needed candidates who knew what these different sections mean. For example, I have a hard copy here. Last year, there are candidates that sat literature paper 1. In section 3, they faced a poem entitled Bread and a Pension. Then the questions that followed, for number 1, they asked them to comment on the subject matter of the poem. That question carried 8 marks. Then number 2, they had to comment on the use of imagery, and those were 6 marks. The subsection 2 of number 2 still, they had to comment on the use of symbolism. So imagine if they didn't know the exact details of imagery, the different types. I think those that didn't know faced it really, really rough. And there was no such a question like comment on the stylistic devices. Yes, that is how they did it. That's why I found it very important for us to have this chart for you to know, in case you're asked to comment on the structure, these are some of the things you talk about. In case you're asked to comment on the use of figurative language, you will talk about this. If you're asked to comment on imagery, you know that it has different types, like Oloya has explained some of these types to us. So you need to know that style is not just a broad thing. It has different sections which you must understand for you to be able to hold meaningful discussions in literature paper 1. Let me check out the prose section. I see. Prose, did it ask for? Yes, prose was open. They asked them to discuss the technique used in the passage, and that carried 15 marks. It was open. Discuss the techniques used in the poem. That is still style. Anything you see on your screen, if you can identify it in the passage, it will pass as an answer. Try to always have as many answers as possible for you to stand a higher chance of getting all the 15 marks given. So let's see. Follows here. Okay, so I just found this picture and decided to have it here. Figures of speech, you can write them in your book. Very first, we have alliteration, pun, hyperbole, metaphor, onomatopoeia, personification, irony. In case you want to hold a discussion on figures of speech, you need to know what to look out for. And of course, they are not limited to the ones that are on your screen right now. There are very many others. Is there any figure of speech that we don't understand that is projected on our screens? Any? Okay. So as people are writing down, let me first greet Destiny. Destiny, is your microphone working? Kindly unmute, say hello. Tell me your full name, then the school you go to. Destiny. Destiny, I can't hear what you're saying. I can see you've unmuted, but I can't hear what you're saying. Sorry about that. We can't hear you, but we hope you're good and we hope you're in the right lesson. And we actually hope you do benefit from this lesson. So Shadia is still in this meeting. Shadia left. Vanessa. Vanessa, are you there?
Yes.
Kindly explain to us pun. What are puns? Then Praise. Praise, are you there? Praise, is your microphone working today? Problem. Oloya?
Yes, teacher.
you are going to help us explain personification. Okay.
Okay.
Then Kiara. Kiara, if you can unmute, kindly you will explain to us. Let's see what's here. You will explain. I hope we have explained all this. Okay, so let's have those two explained. Oloya, do you want to go first?
Okay, teacher. Can I start?
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Personification is a figure of speech in which a thing, an idea, or an animal is given human training. Like a non-living thing is given train of people. It's given the ability to act like a human being. For example, when we say the sky weeps, we are giving the sky the ability to cry.
Okay, very good. That's correct. Thank you. Vanessa, pan.
Is a word that is used to mean different things that may be brought in like a joke.
For example?
For example, have an example.
Please check it out on the internet. Feel free. Check on the internet and examples of puns in literature. Please look for decent ones. I know people play around with these words. Look for one pun that is decent for purposes of our beautiful lesson. Give us an example that is decent.
Okay.
Found any?
Not yet.
Is there any other person in the lesson that has found a pun or already knows maybe an example? Because Vanessa has explained it very well, but we need an example to take it down for us to understand how it works. Anyone who already knows an example of a pun? Vanessa, we are waiting. Let's see.
I've got one.
Okay, share.
A bicycle can't stand on its own because it is too tired.
Too tired, yes. Do you want to explain how that becomes a pun? Because I already feel it in the way you're even pronouncing it. But do you want to go ahead to explain to us how it is a pun? How someone is playing around with sounds, with a pronunciation of words to mean two different things? Yes.
it becomes a joke when he says because it is too tired. A bicycle can't get tired.
Okay. And then they're also playing around with the spelling. Yes. You know, when they say it is too tired, we are quick to think about the exhaustion, that it is exhausted, that maybe it has done a lot of work. That's why it can't stand alone. Then another person is also meaning tired, from tire. It has two tires. So it is too tired. That's why it can't stand on its own. Then maybe the joke comes in when they say it is too tired. How can it get tired? Maybe can wear out a bit, but yes, that's the pun where we're playing with both spelling and pronunciation. But someone at the end of the day says, if you know, you know. Some people will say, Kanga, that's one thing. But for you, if you know, you really know that there is something deeper than just too tired. It can be too tired because of doing a lot of work, but it can also be because it is too tired. It has two tires, T-Y-R-E. And then the tired of exhaustion, T-I-R-E-D. Yes, that's it. So I believe we know how these other aspects work on Metopia, where words sound exactly the same as the actions they produce. For example, the hissing of a snake, indeed, is a hiss. When a snake hisses, you know that it's hissing because the word actually sounds like the action itself. That is the onomatopoeia. Okay, that takes us to another slide. Okay, so we are going to read this poem. I need one volunteer. And as we are reading, our major thing to do is to look out for elements of style. Please make sure you can write down at least 5. As we are sharing, we may share like 2 or 3, but make sure in your book you have 5 answers where you have the point, example, and effectiveness. Even before we read, let me first bring this slide here. There is a tip for us. When you're identifying style, you identify the device or the point, back it up with an example, then go ahead to show and explain its effectiveness. For example, there is use of a simile. In green, that is my point. For example, her hair was like the wool of a mountain sheep. Blue, that is my example. This draws emphasis. Yes, the simile is there to draw emphasis, but you must go ahead and explain the effectiveness as well, emphasizing what? This draws emphasis on the extreme smoothness and beauty of the girl's hair. Yes, that is how I expect you to be presenting your points as we are reading our case studies. Let's try to be very quick, and that will bring us to the end of our discussion. I know this will be enough for us. So we will start with this poem by Austin Bukenya, I Met a Thief. Who is willing to read it out for us? And as you are reading, we'll be writing down our points. Who will read this for us? Any volunteer? Any volunteer to take me through the poem aloud? Should I choose for myself? I'm going to choose either Shadia, Vanessa, or Oloya. Those are the 3 whose microphones work if we're going to have a loud reader. So Oloya and Shadia and Vanessa, let me have a volunteer. Vanessa has a challenge. Shadia, would you mind reading for us?
The poem is not clear.
What do you mean it's not clear? Not legible? Like you can't read the letters?
Yeah.
So here is what you're going to do. Kindly search on your laptop or phone, I Met a Thief by Austin Bukenya, then you read what it brings. I thought the letters were legible. So sorry about that. As I find a way of enlarging, this is highly accessible on the internet. Kindly do the stuff as I see I can if I can find it. So find it and then read it out aloud for us. And when Shadia is reading, try to write down your points. I will give you at most 10 minutes to write at least 5 points. Point, example, effectiveness. So Shadia, let us know when you get the poem and you start reading.
I met a thief on the beach, on the coast, under the idle-whispering coconut towers. Before the growing, fuming waves, I met a thief who guessed I had an innocent heart for her to steal. She took my hand and laid me under the intimate cashew boughs which shaded the downy grass and peeping weeds. She jumped and plucked the nuts for me to suck. She sang and laughed the pressed close. I gazed. Her hair was like the wool of a mountain sheep. Her eyes, a pair of brown black beans floating in milk, juicy and round as plain shots. Her legs, arms, and neck, and like wine goes like pillow breasts. Her throat uttered flesh banana juice, matching her face, smooth and banana ripe. I touched, but long before I even tasted, my heart had flown from me into her breast, and then she went high and south and left my carcass roasting in the fire she had lit. I'm done.
Okay, thank you so much, Shadia. Now we are going to write at least 5 points uh, uh, presenting the stylistic devices you can identify in this poem. I'm going to give you 5 minutes to write and 5 to present. Hello, Shadia. Are we through? Should we start on our presentations? Because now is the time. I have Kiara. Oloya, how far? Do you have some points written down?
Yes, teacher.
Okay, do you want to share first, Oloya? Then we listen to Kiara. For Destiny, Praise, and Yvonne, whose microphones are not working, I expect to see something from you in the meeting chat. Kindly write your answer, okay? Write your answer. At least let's see that you're on the same page with us. So over to you, Oloya. You make your presentation first. We expect at least 5 points. You present your point, example, and effectiveness. Thank you.
Okay, teacher. The first style, there's use of what title. This is seen in the title, I Met a Thief. This title helps us to understand what the poem is about or what the poet is talking about in the poem. Then there's use of plain language. The whole poem consists of plain and simple English language, which is easy to understand. Then there's also use of first-person narrator. The use of first-person narrator is used to give first-hand information. It's used by the poet to give and express the poem had or first and express the poem had. Then there's use of similes. This is seen in what? In stanza 3, where the poet compares the lady to a what? Says that the juicy and round as a plantation shoot. The poet compares the lady to a plantation what? Shoots. Then there's use of past tense. The use of past tense is used in the whole poem. This tells us that the poem is talking about something the poet experienced or something that happened to the poet. So I'm done with my points.
Well done, Oloya. I will comment on some of the answers given, but you have done well. I feel so proud that you have attended our lesson. You told us you have not made style at school, but you can make a wonderful presentation with clear points stated, examples given for most of the points you presented, and then effectiveness. However, when we are commenting on the effectiveness of the title gives us a clue. It only gives us a clue and it whets our curiosity. You know, it makes us want to read more and more, but it doesn't actually make us understand the poem. Oloya, do you understand the difference?
Yes, teacher.
The title just gives us a clue, a hint. I met a thief. Then it makes us curious. We want to read and know, was it a thief in Kampala? Was it a pickpocketing thief? Was it a lifter? I mean, you want to know. Then when you open the poem, you actually get shocked that this is a thief of hearts, you know? So the poem creates a hint on the subject matter and it makes us curious to read on and on to discover what the poem is about. Then when you present the use of the first person speaker, you must give an example. Please put an example in your book. Just find any line that has the first person pronoun I. I met a thief. Even in the title alone, we have the example of a first person presentation. So you must have an example on that. Then concerning your simile, you must also explain the effectiveness. If someone is talking about legs that are as round and juicy as plantain shoots, what is the effectiveness of that? You know, maybe the speaker is highlighting or emphasizing the beauty of the girl's legs and arms. You know, she had round eyes, round legs, and then the neck, just like a plantain shoot. So you need to understand why some choices are made, and you must explain it to the very dot, not just leaving it there. But I'm so proud of you. Thank you so much for the beautiful points given. Odoya talked about the title, talked about the first person speaker, talked about simple and plain English, which is seen throughout the poem, and that is true. And then he also talked about the use of similes. So I expect other students to pick it up from there. Well done, Oluya. Who else is giving us an answer? Let me first check in the meeting chat. Kiara, I'm waiting for you for your presentation. Let me first see. Yes. Praise has given us the use of simple language. Which language, Praise? Is it German? Is it Chinese? You must clarify that it is simple English. English, please, not language. There is use of simple English throughout the poem. Yes, we see that simple English throughout the poem, not in one stanza or two of the four stanzas, but throughout the poem. So that point just passes like that. Yes, if you want to choose one example, then you will have questions. If you say there is use of simple English in the first stanza, then you must explain, how about the other stanzas? Are they complex for you? Are you confessing that you fail to understand the poem? No. You must indicate that the simple English is used throughout the poem. However, some people might use a bit of complex language and then simple English, especially when they are talking to a child. Maybe you're in this conference, a very big conference, you're talking to delegates, and then you want to communicate to a child. There you may move from complex to simple English. But if a poem is just like what we have met today, then you must comment that it is simple English throughout the poem. Praise, I hope you've got that. So back to where has this gone? Kiara. I thought I would get an answer from Kiara. So Vanessa, yes, Vanessa, over to you. Share with us your presentation of style.
There is use of hyperbole. For example, her eyes, a pair of brown black beans floating in milk. This trying to exaggerate the kind of beauty of the thief. Is it?
Are you asking if the answer is correct?
Yes.
Yes, dear, it is correct. Wonderful. We have hyperbole where we have exaggeration as an element of style. Someone wants extreme beauty that is in someone's eyes. So he says, the girl I found at the beach, her eyes were a pair of brown black beans floating in milk. Hey, this is taking it to yet another level. And that is for a purpose, to show that her beauty was extreme. So I have to liken her to something that is very important. And then, away from this very answer being a point that can serve as an example for hyperbole, it can also pass as a metaphor. Her eyes, they were not just like a pair. Her eyes were a pair of brown black beans floating in milk. Yes? It can also pass as visual imagery. Yes, this appeals to our senses. I can only imagine a beautiful girl with round eyes that are very white or maybe bluish, I can only imagine. I feel like I'm seeing this very girl right now. So that is one line that can serve as visual imagery, serve as hyperbole, and also serve as a metaphor. Very good. Thank you, Vanessa. Do you have another point you want to present to us? I expected 5 from you. Or did Oloya give some of the points you had?
Yes, but I have even irony.
Very good. Carry on.
I met a thief, but instead she meant that the lady, this wasn't a thief. She made the opposite of the other.
Okay, but she stole his heart, isn't it?
Okay.
Maybe we could say choice of words, yes? Choice of appropriate words. Instead of calling the girl maybe a beautiful girl, a stunning girl, he actually chooses to call her a thief. So I think the point there is choice of words. I met a thief. Hmm? But Vanessa, concerning irony, I would want to talk about someone who begins the stanza, the poem as if he's complaining. I met a thief who stole my heart. She did what? Then at the very end of the poem, now he's left a carcass. Can you imagine? He hands himself over to the infatuation and ends up losing his soul. That is what I get from the last stanza. I touched, but long before I even tested, my heart had flowed from me into her breast. Can you imagine? Now, this is someone you've met for the very first day at the beach. Hmm? I think that is situational irony. You've not given it time that you have fallen in love, deeply in love, for you to want to die. Hmm? That she left my carcass. You know, a carcass is a dead body. So she left my carcass roasting in the fire she'd lit. Really? On that very first day, love at first sight. And, it feels ironic to me. I think that is situational irony. Thank you for citing that. Let me see. I think I have more answers in the chat. Let me look at them. Someone is asking what time the lesson is ending. Yes, the lesson is ending right now after our presentations. We shall look at the other pieces of work next time. But let me see, any other point? Okay, no more points. Very good. So friends, I like that we have looked at the different stylistic devices. For example, the use of the first person speaker evidenced by the use of a meta thief. This is meant to make the poem authentic and believable. You can really believe it if someone says, he met a thief. It's very different from when someone says, he met a thief, that boy met a thief. Sometimes you have many questions, but if someone uses, I was there, I saw her, she touched me, before, the work becomes more authentic and believable. Then we have auditory imagery under the idle whispering coconut towers. We could almost hear the whispers there. Then, like Olo has said, we have simple English throughout the poem. Then all the other points we've given, very, very good points. Now, we have come to the end of the lesson, but in the next class when we meet, I want you to make research on this poem that we talked about last time, the Harlem Dancer. Kindly write it in your book and then write your answers. You can send your answers to me in my inbox. Yes, in my inbox. Someone said they're not on WhatsApp. Maybe I am going to share my number with you here. And then you send me a message. Then I will add you on the group. I'll tell whoever is responsible to add you in the group. So my number is 0786 266 006. Yes. I've sent my number to everyone. Okay, over there. So you can send me a message, send hi to me on WhatsApp, then I will help you. You will get to the group. Please please write your work and send me your answers. You're answering just one question. Comment on the stylistic devices used in the poem, The Harlem Dancer. Kindly send your answers to me on WhatsApp. Then when we meet next time, we can start with those answers and then this, which is our last bit of this presentation, A Sound of Thunder. I also wanted to do something with Prose. That is a short story by Ray Bradbury. You can look it up. It is longer than this. I just picked this as our case study. You can read it. Very interesting. And focus on explaining the stylistic devices used. So for today, we've managed to look at the different types of imagery. We have looked at style in itself and how it has two branches, that is language and structure. We've looked at the elements of structure that fall under stylistic devices or style. Then plain language. Some things look like plain, but they are also chosen for a purpose. And we have managed to write some of our answers. I thank you very much for your active participation. And I hope you will do this assignment. Just one question. Comment on the stylistic devices used in the poem. Do not forget that you're supposed to identify the point, example, effectiveness, and the effectiveness should also be explained. Yes, that is it. Unless you have any questions, we have to stop here. Any questions?
No, teacher.
All right, all right. Thank you so much. May God keep you well. May God bless you. We'll meet again next Tuesday, same time.
Thank you, teacher.
You're most welcome.